Inside Story Uganda, real source of political updates. Inside Story Uganda.
Understanding Mafia Politics, a handbook for NRM cadres.
Nalindowooza nti nkawalikira abe NRM.
Naye kati wandikira ne kubalala.
Bategeere nali njagala ba cadres. Bategeere mafia bwekola koza ate mafia ate yefuga NRM. Era nze ekinyambye okubeera mu nsi muno. Museveni is not part of.
Akatabo kalina emyaka 11.
Kalina emyaka katewulira.
Kampulirize.
Mbulire mbagambe te Bobi Wine bali banne mu baleke leka winye $1 alwanye ne Bobi Wine. Hausigala alwana ne yamuleta. It's not a question of gund. Mwalabye yo how many cases twakafuna cases biri mu history ya Uganda where judges are told not to gund ono umuvuka bamwitana Jamiru Mukulu yaje nagamba omulamuzi nti kuvemu nakulemera munaga nti nayita nenyina namugamba wagira nupu mukyerabidde you forget so quickly. Jamiru Mukulu yaje okusaba nagamba omulamuzi aguvemu nakulemeramu
naye musajja muzira ngali
mu 1980 Kayira ne Semogereza around ask him wako wambuzi is around. Kayira ne Semogerere bawabira government ya Uganda nti uleba amugoba mbukyama luli wako wambuzi aguvemu. Why? Because wako wambuzi yali arondi as chief justice. Abalamuzi bawulya petition yono ne bamala ennaku ezi ne baddayo ne basoma ekiwandiiko. The chief justice tajja kuguvaamu. Why? One, you are dealing with the judiciary. We are debating a law. It's that. Two, is not the only person on the bench.
You must prove
and the chief justice has not commented on this case anywhere. Two, he does not hold a veto. Bajja ne banyonyola abantu owinye Dollo kyatakola ne tufuna case endala bali shaki oyo mulamuzi kati bali shaki yali Kiberiyo bali shaki yali deputy wa Gundi wa second leading council nga batula ku bench kati omusajja naleeta obujulizi
teri mulamuzi atakolanga ko mu government
naleeta obujulizi n'agamba nti Bazira killed Mbula Muhindo in 1980. Ensonga lwaki balonda Kiyonga omubaka wa DP bali bamuyita Mbula Muhindo Gundi n'amutta ekiro Bazira ng'enkya tulonda. Kakati kesi yajja omujulizi n'agamba sijja kwogera nga chairman wamwe yatudde mu ntebe. Why? In this Mr. Justice offense. Chiko katula bali shaki nagenda izaramusire batula mu kyama ne bakomawo. We cannot send away this witness. What we have decided, let our chairman take leave, a temporary leave, and become a witness.
Absent without leave.
Kakati after order nadda katebe ne balondawo temporary chairman, which is Owiny Dollo is missing and this panel. After order bwe yadda katebe yagamba it is true. I granted Bazira. I knew I was presiding over this case. Bazira was accused of bribing a policeman, which was bailable. But the DPP did not inform me that if I grant Bazira bail on a bailable offense, he also had a non-bailable offense.
That one I didn't know.
Yes.
I was not informed about it.
About it. Odana agamba, a judge cannot alternate for a state attorney. It was the duty of the state attorney to tell me that this man you are granting bail has an unbailable offense. 2. Ne bwe nali muwadde bail on a bailable offense balizemu ne tebali mukkiriza kufuluma. Oda yekiriyalinga n'akomamu owinye Dollo ekyo takimanyi. Yes. Because me I know. Alowooza nti kasitoli nti nalwana ne principal judge bamuyitangani. Principal judge bamuyitangani Ntabooba. Ntabooba is dead, I think. Ntabooba went to address a seminar. Ntabooba said, I'm a judge. I'm getting 5 million per month. I'm a sick man. I have diabetes. This is a very true money given to judges. Naline no rupapuro rwange nga baluyita voice. Nempandika article. Ntabooba is inciting the army to riot. You are getting 5 million. How much do we give soldiers? Early morning. Ntabooba ranga me, ranga with the voice. Who is this man called Mirundi? I said, I'm the one. Do you know that I'm a judge? I said, yes, I know. You're a principal judge. I'm also a journalist. How long does it take you to get a degree? He shouted at me, I shouted back. I told Ntabooba, Ntabooba, you are making 2 mistakes. You are seeing your enemies in my article. It's an innocent article. Okay. The following day, Lukutana contacted me. Ntabooba has instructed him to sue me.
So maybe are 5.
Lukutana, natunulia Lukutana bwenti. Nga buli musango gwonna Lukutana gwatwalwe wa Ntabooba agusinga. Ne mugamba, how can a judge have a lawyer? Do you see, Mr. Lukutana? All of the cases you take before Ntabooba, you win them. Ne mugamba ne muleta statement. Now that Ntabooba is the principal judge, I want a Muzungu judge because Ntabooba will choose a judge agenda okunsiba. Twakola tutya? Asiki Lukutana. I met Lukutana with Ntabooba in a hidden place. Lukutana nangamba, I used to know you when you were poor. What's the problem now? Nemuganti no. The problem of Ntabooba is reading his enemies in my story. Nangamba Ganda apologize. I said no. I will clarify. Did him write a clarification? I will not apologize. An apology means you have admitted you made a mistake.
True.
Kati ate nagenda okulaba nga waliwo abakuba Ntabooba mu judiciary banyiiga nnyo. They had bought a Muzungu lawyer for me. Yes. Kakati kankusomere wano. Nabagamba. Mafia politics in the judiciary. Dr. Besigye and his colonies have extended their mafia politics to the judiciary. For example, the way the courts of law treat Besigye and his group speaks a lot. He gets bail on treasonable offenses. His hooligans are released on questionable court rulings. On land cases, magistrates give out eviction orders to undermine the law. Suspected criminals easily find their way out. However, the ordinary Ugandan is made to believe that these are the fruits of an independent judiciary. An anti-corruption court was recently constituted, but it's just the name that separates it from other magistrate courts. Otherwise, as usual, suspects are simply released on technicalities. However, a critical look at the judiciary clearly manifests symptoms of mafia politics. How? Number 1, when the government launched Operation Wembley, the lawyers complained that it was exercising extrajudicial methods. However, the population applauded the project because the majority of the robbers had been released from courts of law. On the surface, the judges blame poor investigations by the police, inevitably confirming that those released are real criminals. Because if a judge says, I'm dismissing a case because of poor investigations, you are saying if the police investigated it properly, this would be a criminal.
It's a criminal. But they
I dismiss the case because of poor investigations, meaning that if investigations were carried properly,
yes.
This is a criminal. I don't fear judges. Number two, on the rampant land evictions, most often than not, lawyers for the poor peasants are compromised by the rich. The bona fide tenants who are protected by the law are declared squatters by the magistrates to render them helpless. Usually, land-related cases are deliberately delayed or fixed on contradicting dates to frustrate the poor peasants. The weak are given longer dates. Judgments are given deliberately in absence of the poor because they are confused to make them unable to attend the court sessions. Omanye nti omusango bayinza okuwa ennaku endala nina keesi gyendiko omusajja bamubba ettaka lye bamukutte ate miso bonna mbayina ne audio bomulamuzi ngenda back olodi Kampala gundi. The man came to me nandaga ng'omusajja yeeyambisa kooti okubba ettaka lye kakimanyikiiro siwo ne mugali wakito kasuula eddalu akasajja ako. Yes, 3,000 n'omulamuzi musuula eddalu nze. That's why I don't fear them. You judge me on rank, give me on take mu kkomera nkusuula eddalu. There's no one way traffic. Nkugamba. When the president appointed Aida Nantaba as Minister of State for Lands, her nomination was blocked because the key players in land grabbing and evictions have agents in Parliament. When she sprang into action, the landlords panicked. They accused her of flouting court rulings. They also launched a 60-member lawyer team to counter her. This is typical mafia politics. Kasita president yalonda Nantaba, mukyala Senninde Mama Kajanja, beegatta n'omuvuka w'e Masaka oyo gundi ani, bataddewo a 60-member team. Nantaba is not needed. Bataddewo balooya abajja okuwoleza abanaku. Nkugamba. One, why try to make the public believe that courts are capable of solving land disputes? Two, so that land grabbers, they are arguing that land grabbers are get favorable judgments against the peasants because they are not represented. Is it true that the judges order evictions because the affected people are not represented by lawyers? The lawyers of the poor grab, they are given money. If the peasants, the argument is that if the peasants could afford the lawyers, meaning they are not represented in a court. Yes, if they are not represented in a court, how come that these judgments come from courts of contradiction?
It's a big contradiction.
Yes, because they are arguing that the reason why judges order evictions is because these lack lawyers. But if they don't take if I don't take a case to court, how can the court pronounce itself? Will they also, will this the 20 lawyer goon team that they want, will this they will give the judges and magistrates money? Because judges and magistrates give judgment not because the law is inadequate, they are bribed. Judges and magistrates make these judgments not because they lack information. No, they do it deliberately to maintain land evictions as a money minting machine. Omulamuzi w'empiki ababbi bano bwemulaba bano benkwata nagenda baali bagala okubba omusajja bazze mu kyaki bajja mu kyaki nebaga nti alina kyatunda nebajjawo nazuula ngaenamba ya magistrate kubira omubbi with the audio
nga bateesa n'omubbi
kati omusajja baba bamugoba mu kibanja kye nenkubira omwama ye magistrate tiwulire eddoboozi lino ono ayogera nani. A judge will simply tell you that you have the right to appeal. Yes, I have a right to appeal, but what about the damage suffered? Immediately after a land grabber gets a favorable judgment, he demolishes the buildings, cuts down the plantation, and denies the tenants access to the land. What do they get from an appeal, even if it's in their favor? Why not direct to maintain the status quo in the case of land cases until all of the legal avenues are exhausted? Why do we expect fairness from the high levels of the judiciary, not at the lower? Bakugamba appeal. Nenga omusajja amaze okugula abalamuzi babagobye mu ttaka ennyumba azikubyewo. Even evaluating damage is impossible. Abamu kye bakola baddira ente zaabwe ne bazita ne zirya ebintu by'abantu ba peasants muzikwateko malicious damage to property.
Kati Munnayuganda agenda kukola atya mu mbeera efaanana?
Nakawandiika ddi 2012. Yes, so you mafia politics in the judiciary nkugamba this can only work. This question of appeal can only work in medical fields where you can get first aid from the clinics and expect specialized treatment from medical doctors. It cannot work where it is used as an excuse of corrupt court officials to get money. The mafia politics assumes that you can get justice from higher courts, but deliberately knowing that by the time you will be exhausted and given up. When they make such a statement of getting remedies from higher courts, it sounds as if it's possible that if you do not find the sugar in one shop, you go to the next. This is not the case with the courts of law. The damage is always irreparable. Take the example of Nambole Estate. Early last year, 2012, land grabbers plotted to steal it, Nambole. It is a prime land of 2 square miles in the metropolitan city. It also has a strong quarry with high quality stones. Through the so-called privatization unit under Kajala, the grabbers pretended that they were interested in refurbishing Mandela National Stadium at Nambole. And to make it profitable, just the usual tricks they play before grabbing a property. They quickly, Nambole and Zenamunya. Anti nkugamba kyenkugamba nti mmwe don't engage in a battle with Bobi Wine and his mentors. What we should do as Ugandans is to find out the judgment that declared that constituency vacant to enable Bobi Wine to come to parliament. Why should Bobi Wine, a beneficiary of the courts, refuse to go to court? Abamanyi bechu nti na yeye nyini eyo by election was declared illegally. Constituency was created by the mafias to bring Bobi Wine to parliament. Yes, kakati bwe balwanagana. When I see bwolabanga omusawo omuganda alwana ne mukazi wo kitegeeza ayina eddagala lyakimayo n'amukozesa kati balwanira mwana. Abasawo abaganda bakikola nnyo nti bagaba oluzaalo. Omanyi nti nze oluzaalo nze ndukuteekamu bwe bagamba jjajja ajja kujja mbu oluzaalo ye ngenda kukuutakaawo ku bisambi katono eddagala liyingire. Ani akulimba ajja akuuta paka kuyingire. Kakati kyova olaba when you see nga omukazi alwana n'omusawo omuganda ku luzaalo kitegeeza nti ono omusajja omwana nguwe tu. Omusawo omuganda bw'awa omukazi oluzaalo addayo okumala ekizadde era akola embaga ate gwe togendayo. So when you say quarrel between a woman and a witch doctor, era abasawo abaganda bakugamba oluzaalo bw'otakomawo abaana bafa amuddemu. Kakati nze mbabuulira nti to me the battle between Owiny Dollo and Bobi Wine siruyingiramu. I want Bobi Wine to vomit. And one, no, we are lucky. Bring the judgment. Eyaleta Bobi Wine mu constituency. No, anti nkubuulira nti a reasonable man like me, it has given us an opportunity. Tell them to vomit more. Naye mwe mugamba Bobi Wine yeekwasa. Bobi Wine is a product of a court ruling that enabled him to go to parliament. Anti abamanyi bo tebaategeera. Nabagambye nabadde nagwenyumira ne mugamba nti abo bantagali si bamada. Oyo omukazi yatunza ntagali ebintu. Naye omanye ngende yagenda if you ask ntagali. Oyo omukazi asobola okugenda ewa faaza n'amugamba baze wange tumaze emyaka eki. Tewali kitambula. N'omukwatirwa ekisa. Kozi yazze kola ki? Ndidika. Mutta. You blackmail me. Blackmail is responded to do by murder. You cannot blackmail. Mukantagali yagenda okulaba ng'ebintu biweddewo. Ekikati kikimbula. Kikuba ennyondo mu mutwe.
Aveewo.
Blackmail battamutte. Nze mbabuulira. Abo bonna be mulaba mwe temumanyi. Kasita olabanga ku sero ku petrol station nga bazira okubba ssente ne battawo omuntu yakolaganye nabo. Anti bamanyi poliisi egenda muguliri ng'ayogere. E Kenya balumba banka ne bagibba nga ssente zigenda. Kozi nabali bategedde naye laba omukazi manager yagwa ku mulambo gw'omuppi. Yeri ababuulidde.
Kitabo kyogambye nti anti-corruption cases nazo neno court gye bateekawo efaanana n'ezino endala.
Yes.
Yesinga okubeera
Kangalo. Oyo omulamuzi naye bamusanctioninga Abamerica. Kakati ne nkugamba imprisonment as a tool ekyo gavumenti ekimanyi nti abantu baagala nnyo babasibe. Baagala nnyo babakube tear gas. Baagala nnyo oyo mukwano gwange gundi Mbaziira Bashir yakola ekintu kyekimu ti abamawulire batwala ekiwandiiko wa oba ku police headquarters yatwala costa number ne bamukuba. Bobi Wine nakibaddamu. Muli basiraamu mmwe omusiraamu akugamba nti omusatadde gusobola kubojjera mukkiriza mirundi esatu mu kituli kimu. The same Mbaba this young Mbaziira used that he was taking a document, a memorandum from a journalist, bagenda na kustanya. Bobi Wine has done the same. Mwabatayiga muli baawa tubakube ennyuma. Nabadde mbabuulira ne mbaga nti nzina nabagenzi na capacity esobola okumyawo omuzaata ne bamusanga mu ddeero lye n'alyoka akuba abakazi abo. Naye nze I am analytical. Obusiraamu tewali basiraamu baalikaayanye. Why? Omusiraamu after 90 days omukazi waba talina lubuto afumbirwa. These are younger beautiful girls. But why is it that Muzata, who was a scholar, a very powerful man in Chibuli, ab'Echibuli basirise abo abaana babakona ku bubina ondabiranga ddala batya I'm telling you. I analyze why has Natural Kiyingi ventured into this problem. Omusiraamu nti bagaba n'emmaali nti abasiraamu bagaba n'emmaali waliwo agiyingiramu. Emmaali y'obusiraamu yeeraga yokka. But why have the Chibuli sheikhs failed to solve this problem? Babakonda ku bibina ababawala.
Ebintu bijja bibeera wanti erumbi bali.
Ate bugirita mwe bugirita. Gomanyo omusajja gwe bayita bugirita mu mumanyi. Mu muwala wa bugirita. Bugirita mu mumanyi.
Ono we machindi oba?
Bugirita.
Siyo we machindi
akaweka wembe. Bugirita yajjanga. Bugirita zavanga Pakistan okujja mu Uganda. Obubiriti nga buva China. The only thing the Chinese were selling here was matchbox. Ekyokubiri emivumba egyo mugimanyi. Uganda itekiza mivumba. Amini ngatakiriza mivumba kuyingira wano.
Jizze ku mulembe.
Javanga Rwanda. omugga oguli ku nsalo ya Uganda ne Rwanda baguyita liva muvumba. Mwe muva ekigambo muvumba, emivumba gyabeeranga Kabaale. Liva muvumba is a river near the border with Uganda. This is where the word muvumba came about. Omusajja ono Bosa tomulaba, ono muvubuka. Bosa yaleetanga buchwingi gamu ngani amanyi nti bufuna. Anti lwababiri bwe yaleeta mu mwana we n'ateeka mu ssente ne babuyingiramu. Ani yali amanyi nti buchwingi gamu bufuna. Kakati bugirita yaleetanga giyita wano n'agagawala. Naye bwe yafa abaana ne basigaza obugagga bungi. Buli mwana wa bugirita yenlwe ku mwenge yamuttiranga mu accident. Bugirita
yali musajja mugezi.
Ekiribeere wange nkanfudde ggwe alireetawo olugezigezi. Nagamba abaana bange nti alikwata kofini yange n'agitwala mu kyaki tajja gituusa. Sisomye nga we I've not gone to church. Lwaki otwala kofini yange ono gundi agivume? Yes. Nti gundi omuvuka nvume kolera akalamboko. No, njagala omulambo gwange gubeerewo, omulokola ajja asome, omusiraamu asome, ajja asome. Sisomye mu church. When I'm still alive. Era mukulu wange yabagamba ti omusajja oyo yakabbuliye bajja muzika nga ayimiridde. Bweki me I have my kabuli bagenda kunzika nga nyimiridde. Yabagamba abyogera misana. Ye mukulu wange yabagamba nti sijja kubeera ku kijja kyabwe. Nze kabuli yange nagikola kunteeka mu buteesi ng'oyinza okudya omutwe guno n'ogwebasa n'ogamba nze njagala bagambye nti nze muzzukulu wa Tamale Mirundi ayimiridde e Matale. Ngalamira ki ekyalusikita wanya guno omutwe gwebaka guno. Naye yabagamba ti omusajja oyo abyogera ne ku leediyo n'abyogera ne ku TV. Oyo mutani wange abo baloya ne bagamba omufuta banarayitide bakigaana nenkwakulako omu aligesa. Kakati nkugamba nti nabawandiikira ti imprisonment okukwata Bobi Wine nemusiba. In fact kambabuulire President Museveni what he doesn't know nti President Museveni buli lwagenda n'agamba opposition oyo temumundeetera wandali yayitamu. Era bakugamba ab'opposition bakugamba singa zze wange nanjogerako
lazima nempangula akalulu.
Nembagamba nti Musisi babuuzanga president ekibuuzo ng'era takiraba. What's your comment about Musisi? Musisi, I wish I had 100 Musisis. Why that nga bwe kibamugola nti whatever Musisi is doing in town has been directed by the president. Nagana nenkuba Musisi. President nampita nangamba why don't you become my advisor on Kampala? I have a recorded tape nga boogera how Butoda was destroyed. The Museveni bamutwalira report yenfu ti ababutoda bawagira Mengo bagenda kuteekawo negundi. They are also falsify. Museveni ekituyambye n'atatta abantu intrigue agimanyi ne bagamba nti Museveni asingira Sulemani bangambye Kawaga yakizzeemu tibukuziika zizinga Kawaga yakyogedde nti Besigye yali ayagala kusaani zizinga na mukyala Njuba alwadde amambuluga tibagamanya abanyankole. Naye Museveni yaga why don't we refer to another doctor? The second one mubaleke nga bandaba. Nze yabatunuulira bwati nga bannwanyisa n'agamba nti obukolwa obumanyi naye obukolwa nga bwezinze ku musota omunene tebugusuula kakati bafunirawa. Kyenalimba lwanyisa baayagala banteeka under their control. President nampa omulimu mu president's office tumwebaze naga nti mumuteeke mu kategori etafuna musaala mbungende nalinja kubeta endakada akasajja kandi ofisa waffe eriyo omulimu genda kimenyoko genda kimama kuvaganya atya muyina ku teepu ngaagamba nayina okugula omuntu waayi Mirundi was threatening to come to my constituency. Muyina ku teepu tumwebaze muyina
bangamba ate si ewaabwe si waayo.
Kakati kankubuulire ti imprisonment temugitegeera ti people are yawning people inside government
babasibeko.
In many African countries, a stint in prison makes political mileage. Criminals take on government as a future political shield. When they are arrested, the public is made to believe that is a persecution, forgetting that an AIDS victim can contract malaria. Bolwala sirimu, malaria takwata. Bolwala sirimu enjovu tekwata. Bolwala COVID enziku tekwata. Kati yo gavumenti kigirema okunnyonnyola nti ono tumukutte lwakino. He can be an opponent. Naye tumukutte lwakino. Yo gavumenti esobola kinnyonnyola. Nga bwe tesobola kunnyonnyola kya Bobi Wine nti me I don't defend the judiciary. I say these were bedfellows yesterday. Bobi Wine came into